ma'am, if give permission, then we may start, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Actually, okay, you have also started the live, right? So we are
Yes, ma'am.
starting. Okay.
Suparna, ma'am.
Yes,
No,
yes.
already
So
11
I think
attendees are there actually.
yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. So
If
I
you
am
wait
starting.
for
And participants will be just joining shortly, and they will settle down while the talk starts. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So welcome everyone on the fifth day of the Faculty Development Program on Internet of Things Security. We are hoping to have an overwhelming response from you on this particular day as well. In the earlier days, we have able to gather knowledge about different aspects of IoT. Today, on the final day of the program, hoping to continue the same. Before wasting any more of your precious time, let's welcome our first guest, Dr. Osnesha Khashnovish, currently associated with Research and Innovation, Tata Consultancy Services, Kolkata, India, as a scientist. Dr. Khashnovish has completed her MTech and PhD in Biomedical Engineering from Jadavpur University in 2011 and 2015 respectively. She worked as a postdoctoral researcher at Day-5 Chair in Brain Machine Interface Lab, EPFL, Switzerland on Swiss Government Excellence Fellowship 2017 to 18. Currently, she is working as a scientist at TCS Innovation Research and Innovation Lab, Kolkata. Her area of interest includes biomedical engineering, brain-computer interface, haptics, sensors, embedded systems, biosignal, and image processing. Today, she will deliver a talk on IoT-based solution for unobtrusive human monitoring. So let me give you a brief introduction about the topic. Health monitoring has been a new era with emergence of wearables. However, unobtrusive monitoring is of immense significance for varied pragmatic implementations. Unobtrusive cardiopulmonary monitoring is favorable for long-term monitoring for healthy as well as patients and infants, elderly care, rescue operations, and also to reduce the white collar effects. Radar and ultrasound based health monitoring has been a prime area for researchers in the field of unobtrusive sensing. We have used a twin radar setup, that is the speaker has used a radar setup for liveness detection. She have implemented single as well as dual ultrasound piezoelectric for physiological monitoring. Additionally, those novel technologies from a part of their, that is the developed system in the connected health platform. In all these human monitoring applications that the speaker of today's talk has been developed, the essential part is IoT implementation. The security of data storage, retrieval, visualization, and analytics are all dependent of the IoT platform. So let us welcome in behalf of myself, Dr. Sriparna Saha, and all the other coordinators, and our HOD ma'am, Dr. Suparna Bishwas. Let us welcome our today's first speaker, Dr. Onnesha Khashnovish. Yes, ma'am, you can start the presentation now.
A very good afternoon to everybody, all the panelists and all the attendees. Thank you, Dr. Shah, for such a wonderful words. I'm really delighted to be a part of this faculty development program.
Ma'am, the internet connectivity is very low. I think you should switch off the video.
Okay, just a moment. Hello. So, am I audible properly?
Yeah, it's now audible properly.
Okay, just give me a moment. I will share my screen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, all the participants, we are going to take all the questions. As I am seeing that some hand has been raised, please write down your questions in the QA section. We are going to answer, as or not we that the speaker are going to answer all your questions after the presentation. We are not going to take any questions in between. Yes, ma'am, your slide is visible. So over to you, ma'am. You can start the presentation.
Thank you, Sriparna. I'll just start in a moment.
Yeah.
So, hmm, I'm here to start my presentation on IoT-based solution for unobtrusive human monitoring. So there are different parts of this presentation that I would like to talk about. So one is obviously IoT. Second is unobtrusive, and then comes the human monitoring. So I'll talk about each of these different parts of my presentations one by one. So each of these individual parts are essential and equally important on the topic that I am working currently, and they have their own place to play on the solution that we are trying to develop, or the solutions that we are trying to develop for the customers and giving out to the people outside the lab. So first, I'll just like to give a brief overview of from where I belong and what we do there. So as Dr. Shah mentioned in my introduction, that currently I'm working as a scientist in TCS Research and Innovation, which has started back in 1981, and we have different research labs and facilities, not only in various cities of India, but also in various cities throughout the world. So we have different research programs, some mature architectures, research partnerships. We have some coin partners. The coin partners we mean by, we have the associations with academic institutes, as well as with the startups and different other academic curriculum also. So there's a vast majority of the research and innovation that TCS is doing, not only for the industry, but also in collaboration with the academics as well. So we also offer a research scholarship program for the research scholars. And the main part of the TCS research and innovation lies in the idea that, as because we are coming from a industrial research background, or a research background from industry, so we are mainly focusing on taking the research out of our research labs to the customers, to the end users, where they can be actually implemented as solutions or systems for our customers, to whom we are supporting. So our research is like TCS being a IT consultancy services company, but it not only does research in the field of computer science and IT, but also in various other fields also. So we mainly focus on, or the research that we do is broadly divided into 11 research areas. So that include embedded systems and robotics, physical sciences, life sciences, then comes cybersecurity, data science, behavioral science, software and systems, computing, also media and advertising, and foundations of computing. So here if you see, we have the broad area, like the areas which depend or are related to computer science and IT, also with electronics. The physical sciences and the life sciences are mainly from those areas of research which focus on the fundamental research in the areas of science and engineering. So there are various fields on which the research is going on in TCS for such a long time right now. So I am originating from Kolkata, being on the group of embedded systems and robotics. So here just a point that I would like to mention is that my background is biomedical engineering, so I'm not a computer scientist or a electronics engineer. So being from a area or a background of biomedical engineering, I am working at TCS Research and Innovation, where I have the uh, opportunity or the capability to work completely on my research areas, on my background areas, where I can contribute in the biomedical engineering or the bioengineering part, as well as being a part of the larger research solutions. So just a point that I would like to mention here is that so as because of the industrial standards and everything, so there's a term called TRL levels on which our research is mainly dependent upon. So suppose whenever we start doing a research, we start from different levels, and then we try to attain a different level. So levels of what? So we mainly call it TRL, not we call it TRL. This term is has been coined by NASA many decades ago. So that is technology readiness level. So the research what we are doing is to assess the readiness level, or they assess the level at which the technology is currently, where it is currently standing, with respect to how fast and or how ready it is to go out in the market to the people for the solution. So these are called technology readiness levels. So we in the industry follow these TRL levels very much. This TRL 1 to 3 are the levels where we try to do a POC, that is a try to see whether a new concept or a new research proposal, is it feasible or not, is it feasible enough to be carried forward, to put some extra effort on that, and then we do a gateway check, and then we do the pilot studies, demonstration, evaluation, go for market release and everything. So these are the different aspects. So why am I interested, or wanted to mention this here, is that be it IoT, be it any form of research or solution dependent thing that we are doing, these TRL levels are very important. Even if it happens in many a times, is that a research proposal, it may pass a TRL level 3, but even after a working prototype, the customer pilot or the viable product doesn't come out in the market because of many practical requirements that doesn't go hand in hand with the research proposal, or with the ideas with which the research has started. So it is valid absolutely 100% in the case of IoT too. So as because I have already told you that my background is biomedical engineering, I am mainly interested in bioengineering or human healthcare related solutions or research. So in TCS we have program that is going on, and it is termed as connected digital health. So what TCS is trying to do is that, so if you think about the patient at the middle of the ecosystem, with all other medical staffs or professionals at the circumference of the ecosystem, uh, as well as the new technologies that are coming. So all these the different players, they come together to form a ecosystem where this digital part is nowadays playing a big role. So in terms of Internet of Things, when we come with the healthcare terms, there's a term that people mainly say is that Internet of Medical Things. So it is the same as Internet of Things, but that is specifically devised for medical technology or healthcare technology. So it has its own requirements, it has its own uh, pros and cons, it has its own demands to be met, to be made out in the market. What we are focusing here is a patient centric ecosystem where the patient is there, the different professionals are there, as well as the digital technology, along with the medical devices, the pharma lab, diagnostic, physician, hospital, everything, everyone, and these every component come in contact in a close-knit ecosystem and environment that is based on a framework of digitization. And that digitization there, the IoT and obviously the security like incidents of the IoT plays a very vital role in ascertaining that we are able to achieve a complete foolproof system where the patient as well as the healthcare professionals are not compromised. So, if we look at the TCS solution of managing neurological or cardiological diseases, we have different types of like AI powered algorithms, different devices. So, like there are different layers. If I come from start from a very basic layer, so there are different sensors or different types of intelligent sensors or sensing devices that is playing a very important role in attaining or acquiring the data required, or the signal that data can be in form of signals. It can be in the form of like pictures or vision based system also. So for example, we have a insole device which is able to capture the pressure points from the sole of a the sole that is attached to a foot of the shoe. So where we can from the data that we acquire from there, we are able to detect uh, if the person is having tremors, if he is suffering from Parkinson's, the range of motion, the gait, and there are other parameters also. Then we have a belt device, a depth camera, wrist wearable, and many others. So these are just a few examples of the sensors that we are dealing with. So this is an overview of the platform that we have. If you see, so there are multiple sensors, and then there comes a group of algorithms or that is on a specific platform. And then there comes this edge. So that edge is also part of the IoT. That can be in the form of a cell, tablet, home gateway, laptop, PC. And then we have TCS Assets on Cloud. So TCS has developed his own cloud computing and analytics platform. It is what we call as TCUP. That is a TCS owned or TCS developed cloud analytics platform. So where we can also perform the different analytics and also share it to the clients or the hospitals, or even with the patients if they want it. So there are different types of customers or different end users whom we are focusing. They can be some leading hospitals or some medical or pharma companies also. So they want a platform which is which should be scalable, which should be disease or data agnostic, and where the clinical outcomes can be validated. So we need to have a very flexible system. We need to have a very secure system. Why secure? Because the same way wherever IoT is used or deployed, the security terms and conditions remain the same. Even for while we are dealing with the human related data, so in human related data research, there are two parts mainly. So if you see, one is a diagnostic part and another is just a research part. So for example, I am dealing with a data from a group of people who are not patients, but I have acquired the data from a group of people, and I am doing some analytics and trying to find out something. So by the law, I have to protect the data of the people with whom I am dealing with. So I cannot share those people's data with anybody who are not authorized to have the access to that data. And secondly, any sort of like misdealings with the data causes and the outcomes to be erroneous, and that can be very hazardous for any kind of application that we are dealing with. So that data breach should not happen. So the platform where we are or the type of protocol that we are using for each and any of these purposes has to be foolproof, has to be flexible, has to be very lightweight, scalable. So I'll come to these parts later on an example with which we are dealing with this. So this is just an overview of the different types of like suits or the algorithm suits that we have, or the TCS Health Sense platform that TCS is performing. So when we are talking about this TCS connected health platform, we are mainly working on these different sectors like elderly care, biomarkers, agricultural digitization, then we have a virtual rehabilitation program, and also a digital impact square. So there are different scenarios on which we are working. So let's come to the next part of my presentation. So this till now I have mainly talked or given a very brief overview of what TCS in the sector of human care or healthcare or bioengineering is doing, what TCS has as a connected digital health or health sense platform that TCS is having. So now let me show you something that we are specifically dealing with. So this particular slide, what do you see? So that's my question. So you don't have to answer, but uh, uh, like this is a completely blank slide. So I have kept it for very important purpose, is that the type of sensing that we are using currently or dealing with is what we can say as invisibles. So we are trying to use the power of invisible sensing to attain the amount of information as is available with different diagnostic devices or different wearables. So that's where our research with unobtrusive human monitoring started. And what do I exactly mean by the term unobtrusive? I actually mean by the term unobtrusive is that uh, it is not intruding in or intrusive in any way to the person from whom we are sensing or acquiring the data. It is not at all a wearable device, and it is not seen by the person. It is not meddling with the any of the lifestyle or the way of living of the person. So completely unobtrusive system of sensing, that is what we are targeting at. So this particular picture, we are all familiar with this type of devices nowadays, right? So a smartwatch or a smart band, it gives us so many different parameters. Like you can see, you can track your sleep, you can track how, like what's your fat percentage, how your fat percentage is changing. Let's say if you are now going into a regime of exercise and all, the mass, the steps, so the or and like various other parameters also it measures nowadays. After this COVID scenario has come up now, these wearables or the smartwatch companies are doing a lot, or they are spending a lot in finding out if they can extract the cardiopulmonary information from the smartwatches and all. But just think about a moment and try to imagine like how many of us like will be very comfortable. Like first question is how many of us is very comfortable in wearing these things throughout the day or throughout the night. Most of us will be like sometimes it is fashionable, sometimes they are good to have, like we become a freak in controlling and seeing or tracking where we are going and what we are doing. But then think about, just take a moment and think about our parents who are with whom we really find it hard sometimes to make them that savvy with the technology. I'm sure that most of us feel the same way, because often sometime I get a call from my mom or something that she is unable to connect to the internet. But her problem is not like that she is unable to connect to the internet. So she calls me up and she asks me, see, listen, this is not working, this is not opening, it is not working, so this has gone bad. So then it takes me a lot of time to make her understand that it's not that it's not working, but you have to make it work in some other way. So for elderly people or for the generation that we are talking about, so if you see that uh, the users of the wearables by age, that do reduce by the age factor, and that is a statistical numbers that has come up with. So there we are becoming more tech savvy, we are using these wearables and everything more day by day. But with the elderly people, they are really finding it difficult to get away with that. They are sometimes they get comfortable with it, but they are not really dependent upon it like we do nowadays. So, what we intend to do, or what was the problem that we started with? So, there's a facility in Singapore. So they are a facility of you can say elderly care system or a nursing home type of system. Not the nursing home that we think about the term nursing home. So that's a facility where they have different apartments, which either like a single elderly people or a elderly couple reside in those apartments, and they live all by themselves. So suppose there are 50 apartments in a building, and all elderly people or elderly couple are living by their own. So the problem was that there was a central management facility who are managing these the lifestyle or the healthcare facility of these elderly people. Now the problem that they were facing is that it was not possible to deploy like a nurse or a healthcare worker for each and every elderly people or elderly couple. So that was not a practical solution. Moreover, the elderly people, they are like you must have also seen many a times that they are too much self-aware, and they want to live with a very high dignity, so they don't want any help with them for the 24/7 basis. So this is one thing that they didn't want. Secondly, they didn't want to wear something like a watch or something like a digital pendant or something like that. So they didn't want that. So anything which is wearable or which they have to do by themselves, um, uh, like switching on and off of a machine to which could track them, they didn't also want that. So that was another problem. Third thing is that then you can say is that the most um, easy solution is deploying some webcams where they can be tracked through those webcams, or they can be seen that how they are or what they are doing. Uh, but then the webcams have the privacy issues. So like how many of us would really be comfortable in working under or living under a 24 hours of surveillance? So that is not a feasible or a practical solution. So these are the things that these people didn't want. But what they needed some sort of facility or some sort of solution which could track them on a 24/7 uh, base of monitoring. Their health parameters should be checked at regular intervals. And as you must know, or like the elderly people are very prone to falls. Like it might happen that like they are working and they have just collapsed, maybe in the hallway or the kitchen, or mostly in their like toilets. And also and those falls can be very fatal for the individuals, not only for the elderly but for any people. So this fall detection, their health parameter monitoring, their activity monitoring, these all these are very like essential things that need to be parameterized and that needs to be monitored. So what we intend to do is we want to monitor liveliness. That is the term we I want to stress here. We want to monitor liveliness by a technology or by a sensing system which is completely unobtrusive, which is invisible, and which can do a continuous monitoring for a long term. And in case of any abnormalities, it can raise an alarm. So these are the things that we intend to do. But then how do we pose to do it? That's where the question comes. So now the points that we want to do mainly is people activity detection, people tracking, and people physiology. So when I say human liveliness, and then I mean that I have to know whether that person is like present in the field of view of my sensor. If the person is present, then I should be able to track that person. And then uh, if I am able to track that person, then I should be able to like monitor the activity of that person. And then the physiology. By the physiology I mean some physiological parameters I should be able to monitor or capture in order to have a like a continuous assessment of the person's health and wellness. So what we need. So if you see this picture at the left hand side, a person is sleeping with so many hairs coming out of his body. That is a typical setup, a very typical setup of a sleep study. Now just try to imagine yourself putting all these sensors and wears on your body, and then somebody asks you, okay fine, you have been completely weird with the electronic sensors and everything. Now you just go to sleep and sleep as normally as you can, and then we will monitor your sleep pattern and we will give you this information, that information. That is fine, but really like how many people will be really comfortable in putting this type of setup on a regular basis and then going for a sleep? At least not me. Then you see this the right hand side, the upper picture, this is a pendant which is commercially available, which is they demand that they are able to detect when a person falls or for fall detection. That is fine, but then what happens that I am prone to fall, I should be using this pendant to detect that whether I have fallen or not. But what if that if I have forgotten to wear this pendant all by myself, then the whole purpose like is dissolved, it doesn't get solved. And then you see there are different types of wearables like accelerometers, gyroscopes, and different other goniometers and all. Those are used for gait studies, for measuring how the person walks, how the person does some activity and all. But what I am telling for the last couple of minutes now is that we need a technology which is unobtrusive. So all we need is there should not be any strings that are attached to any of the sensors. So we need a invisible sensing mechanism. So now this human liveliness. So though as I started telling you that the whole problem came to us from an elderly facility where they wanted to monitor the health of the elderly people, and for that they wanted a solution which is not wearable and which is not vision based, so that they cannot be they like their privacy and security cannot be compromised. But even after coming from that particular facility, this particular problem or the liveliness scenario can have different applications. It can be used for like human wellness application, like so the healthcare paradigm, if you ask me, is shifting nowadays. Like previously, most of the people, they are mainly interested in, like, whenever I fall sick, then only I go to a doctor. So that was the mindset of the people for a long time. But now people are becoming more and more of wellness freak. So sickness and wellness, so that doesn't go like those are the same thing, but not exactly the same. So wellness is, you try to look after yourself, you try to look after your health even before you fall sick. So it's a overall or holistic approach of your healthcare management. So that is where this continuous liveliness monitoring is very important for telemetry purpose, for smart home or healthcare solution. And I'll give you just 2 or 3 examples more. Let's say it happens many a times is that during some earthquake or let's say due to a building collapse or something like that, so there are rubbles or rubbishes, and like the rescue workers are trying to find out like whether somebody has been buried in those rubbles, and in spite of being buried, whether that person is still alive or not. Because if the rescue workers know that okay fine, this is the place where somebody is buried, then they will put an extra effort to pull that person out of there. But most of the time they don't have any mechanism to see whether the person is there is somebody who is trapped there and still alive. So if I give you 2 options, that somebody is buried but he is already dead, and a part of the rubble where a person is buried but he is still alive, then where the person is still alive, the rescue workers have to put their conscious effort to pull that person out of there. So there also we need to find out whether the person is alive or not. So again we are talking about trying to sense or monitor the human liveliness there. Secondly, think about burn victims or infants or premature babies, or very small tiny babies, where they sometimes need to monitor their health parameters. And then it becomes very difficult for these infants, or even more difficult for the burn victims, to put electrodes and different types of these wares on those patients body to monitor their health care. For them also it would have been great if we have something which is completely non-intrusive in their application scenario. So we have termed our platform as ListSense, that is life science sensing. solution. So there, what we are trying to do is mainly assess or monitor these three things: the respiration rate, the heartbeats or the heart rate, and the activity gesture or gait, whatever you say. So uh, these are the things that we try to get, but unobtrusively. So for the sensing purpose, we are using the radars, but like whenever we talk about radars, even for a person like me who is not from an electronics background, who is not even, who doesn't know anything about microwaves. So for me also, when I first like heard about the term radars, I used to think about those big ones that are employed or deployed in the airports or the ports, which goes round and round in monitoring the flights up and down. But now with the technology development, the radars on chips, or they have come in a very sizable format. So we have different types of radar prototypes that we are trying to develop and deploy. Sorry for the interruption, just a moment. Hello, I hope I am audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. You are audible. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I'll just-
Yeah. Yeah. You are audible.
So now, why we wanted to come up with this complete technology based on the sensing system with the radars itself. So as I have told that with the technology advancement and all, the radars have come in a very small form factor. Even they are like now being developed in the forms of chip. It can be comparable to a like. ₹1 coin or a ₹2 coin, something like that. So they are completely privacy preserving. Why I'm saying that privacy preserving is that they can act as a like the functionality can be of a camera. They can track you, but without knowing how the person looks or what they are actually doing. So they are completely privacy preserving, and so the security is not compromised in any way. They are portable, completely portable, and agnostic to light conditions. This is another important thing that I would like to mention, is that be it any kind of cameras, they are dependent upon the lighting conditions. So there are night vision cameras and all, but that depends upon how good the camera is, or even then also some sort of lighting condition or lighting facility. Here our radars are not anything to deal with this. And another thing, the very important point for the radars is that they are able to make a through wall measurement. So suppose I have a radar in one room radar placed at one room, and there's one person sitting in the other room. So I should be able to, or rather, my radar is able to sense and detect whether someone is present even in the other room. So by sensing it through the wall. So this through wall sensing or measurement is another very important criteria why we wanted to deal with these radars. So now you know, or now you see that as because it is able to like do these through wall measurements, that's why when I was talking about the rescue operations for the earthquake or the building collapse victims, it should have been possible by this technology. Now, so I mentioned that the main motivation came from monitoring of the elderly in-house people, and also talked about the other healthcare facilities and all. And another application or the use case that also came to us on the basis of worker safety. So what do I exactly mean by worker safety? So for example, in large factories or warehouses where hundreds of different workers are working in a very constrained environment. Constrained environment, I mean, they are, you can think about the inside the blast furnaces, the mining scenarios and all. So there, the condition for working is not at all close to our working condition. Our working condition, currently we all are sitting at our home in a very comfortable sitting chair or something like that. In offices also we sit around like under a fan or under a AC, and we are working so comfortably from there. But for those mining workers or those big factories or blast furnaces, the conditions are very bad for working. So what happens is that the people tend to get or fall sick all of a sudden very often. So it happens many a times that their vital parameters suddenly shoot up or shoot down. They go into a very havoc change in their let's say the blood pressure or the heartbeat, and sometimes the person even collapses. But there is no real facility to monitor if a person is going to fall sick or not. If there is nothing to monitor, then there is nothing to predict also. So if we have a sensing system in all those facilities, but there also it is not possible to attach or wear a sensor on the body of the workers. So for this worker safety also, we are trying to devise a solution. So this is just a bird's eye view of this system that we are, or the platform that we are trying to come up with, or our solution. So it first tries to see whether there is a presence detected or presence or movement detected. So let me remind you once again, what we are trying to find out here is like human liveliness. We are trying to sense or detect human liveliness. So for human liveliness, the first thing that we check is whether we can detect a presence or whether we can detect a movement. If that movement is greater than a movement threshold, then we know that okay, fine, there's somebody present and also that person is moving, and that means the person is not at rest or not stationary. So if that person is moving, then we try to categorize the activity or movement or gesture into different types of activities. That can be activities of daily life, that can be different like gait patterns, or different gait parameters also. So this is one part. The second part is, if the movement is less than the movement threshold, that means the person is almost at a rest or the person is almost stationary. So if the person is almost stationary, then we try to detect the cardiopulmonary activity. What do I mean by the cardiopulmonary activity? Cardio relates to the heart and the pulmonary relates to the lungs. So we try to detect or monitor the respiration and the heart rate or the heartbeats. So this is how our system looks from a little bit of technical point of view. So we have, so this is a complete overview of the IoT module or the IoT solution that of our system that we have. We have a sensor node, we have different remote centers or where we want to like collect the data or do the analytics. We are mainly using a particular protocol called the MQTT protocol for our this platform deployment. So I'll also come to that protocol and why we are using that and how we are using that. But maybe I'll first try to explain like what are the requirements of this particular system in a more details. So let's see. So as I have said here is that the first thing is to detect the movement, track the person, and then detect the activities. So what we try to do is that we have used specialized type of radar called the FMCW radar for people tracking. So we are able to distinguish uh, so even with one radar placed at one room or in one facility, we are able to see whether there is one person present or there is a multiple people present in the room. Even if there is a multiple people present in the room, we can with our system detect for each and every individual people what that person activity is or track that person. So if suppose one person is static and another person is moving dynamically, so we can track those two persons separately. So and we have devised different methods of different activities of daily life detection or the activities. So if you see these figures at the below, then you will see we have the activity signatures for four different types of activities of daily life that I have just shown here. One is walking, then another is standing up, sitting down, and frontal fall. Now, this frontal fall is a simulated frontal fall. That is when we have used the data of the person. We have asked them to like pose as if they are falling, because that fall it is very crucial to detect fall or if a person is falling or is about to fall down. So these blue figures, you can see that these are the figures that are obtained from a radar, and this shows a definite signature of for definite and distinguished signature for each and every activity. So visibly you can see the difference in the signatures that are for the different activities. So then on the top of that, we are using some intelligent algorithms to decipher the differences from activity to activity. Uh, now, one part was that, so the first part is the movement detection, so presence detection, that is people tracking or seeing if anybody is present in the field of view of the radar. The second is movement detection and categorization of those activities. So that is done. The third part is if we see that the movement is less than the movement threshold, then we go for this cardiopulmonary detection. So yeah. Mm, now, why I say cardiopulmonary detection? So whenever you meet someone, so that can be anyone. So nowadays we are all restricted at our homes, but even if now through video call and all, when we get connected to somebody, the first question that we tend to ask the other person is that how are you or how are you doing? The same thing that our doctors also asks you, but they are not really relying upon what the answer that you give, but they are rather relying upon the parameters that the doctors can measure from us. So if you see, there are these 5 vital parameters: heart rate, blood pressure, oxygen saturation, respiration, and temperature. And with the current COVID scenario, we know from the newspaper, news channels, and all the messages that are coming up to us every day is that each and every one of these parameters is vital for assessing the current status of that person, and it is very much required. to associate how that person's health is going. And if there is abnormality in any of these parameters, then we can also say that the person is falling sick, or his health condition is deteriorating. So, among these 5 vital parameters, the most important are the heart rate and the respiration. So, measuring your pulse rate is one of the obvious things that our doctor does each and every time that we go to visit them. So previously, or mostly the doctors, they may, put their fingers on our wrist and measure the pulse. That is how they have done it for ages now. But now they have like pulse oximeters, and all these pulse oximeters give you the respiration rate, the oxygen saturation, and also the heart rate. So everything is done with that machine. That's fine, but you need to put something on your body. So as because these two are the most vital parameters among the 5 parameters, the heart rate and the respiration. So when we are talking about human liveliness, and when we are talking about monitoring the human wellness or the health on a long term basis, we wanted to capture these two parameters, the heartbeats and the respiration, on a continuous scale. And what we are also doing is that we are also using a IR sensor for the temperature measurement also. That is also a non-contact temperature measurement. So nowadays also we are very much familiar with the IR temperature sensor, as you have must have seen the IR temperature guns being like focused on our forehead whenever we are trying to enter any facility or something like that. So these are all unobtrusive sensing methods that we are talking about. So this is more technical description of how we are computing the heart rate and the breathing rate. I'm not going into that, but the key points of the system that we are using, or the technology we are using for liveliness computation is, first of all, it is real time. Secondly, our total algorithm is data driven. So like it can vary from person to person, like it varies from person to person, the level of the signal, the amplitude of the signal, the intensity of the signal, the variations in the respiration, as well as the variations in the heartbeat, that also varies from person to person. But our algorithm is able to take care of all these things. Our system or the algorithm is completely calibration free, so you don't need to calibrate it with respect to a standard or a reference point each and every time you switch it on. You don't need to do that. And third, another thing is, most importantly, is that it is able to simultaneously detect the heart rate and the breathing rate. So you might say that what is the problem, or what is the big deal in finding out the heart rate and the breathing rate simultaneously. So if you think, like, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to detect the heart and the respiration information from the chest wall up down. So the heart beats and the lungs, it expands or releases the air or the oxygen inside it. So these two phenomena, the heart beating and the lungs expansion or release, they together make our chest wall go up and down. So what we are doing is, actually, with the radar, we are just measuring this chest wall movement, up down vibration, and only from this chest wall up down movement signature, we are finding out about this heart rate and the breathing rate. So here, the on a technical point of view, it is very important to keep in mind is that the quality of my signal that I get, the sampling rate, all these are very important parameters while we're trying to find out these very vital parameters, and which are very feeble to like acquire from the person from whom we are trying to monitor these parameters. So if you see, these are different types of breath, like a slow breathing, normal breathing, and as well as the fast breathing that we have captured with our system. So why I am calling it slow breathing? So you will, if you look carefully, is that all these three signals, the window is of 12 seconds. So 0 to 12 seconds, 0 to 12 seconds, the window is same. But this is a filtered breathing signal, so it looks more or less like a sine wave. But if I don't do this hard filtering, then it won't look like this anyways. So this one particular this up and down of the signal from the trough to trough, or from the peak to peak, this refers to one breathing cycle. So if you see, for the slow breathing, the number of breathing cycles is only 3. For the normal breathing, it is 4, and for the fast breathing, it is much more. So here our computations over a large number of participants, and all have we have come with this figure of a mean absolute error of 1.47 breaths per minute. So that this is the error in breaths that we are getting using our radar based unobtrusive sensing system. uh, but the point to be mentioned here is that why is that I am talking so much about this breathing? Like, isn't it possible to measure the breathing in any other format? Yes, it is possible, but all the like devices or the sensors to measure breathing, first of all, uh, the non-contact devices are not present. And even if I talk about the contact devices, like, I don't know even if, like, how many of you have observed, like, the doctor, they place their finger on the on our wrist to measure the pulse rate. But how do they measure our breathing rate? Don't they like, do they measure our respiration rate, or don't they? Most of the times they do, even if they write it on the prescription or not. But they do. How they do is that they just try to observe your chest wall movement and try to see the breathing rate. But the doctor never tells you that, okay, now I'm going to measure your breathing rate, and then starts calculating your chest wall up and down. Why? Because when you know that now your breathing is going to be counted or measured, uh, by default your breathing will get stimulated. So either you will get tensed, or your breathing will go down, or it will go up. So it gets stimulated by the fact of the person when he or she knows that he is under surveillance. So that's why like, the doctor never tells you when they are going to measure your breathing rate. Secondly, for heart rate measurement, there are so many different things. From the pulse oximeter, we can measure the breathing rate, yes, but there are differences in that also with the standard, like gold standard method and all. But with so many years of medical science technology coming into play, there is no other method for measuring the breathing parameters. Not only the breathing rate, but also the breathing parameters. Now, if you see this signal, so from this signal, we are able to measure the different parameters which we can measure with the help of a gold standard device that is used for lung function test. not only the breathing rate but also different other parameters. But there also it depends upon the signal quality, the signal, like how the signal is stored, how the signal is analyzed, the latency of the signal storage and acquisition. So all these parameters are very important. So the ultimate goal is to go for the parameterization, but for those parameterization you need to have these parameters, or you need to have this signal qualities checks in handy with incorporated in the system that we have. Then this is just an example of how our system has performed with respect to a reference or a standard system in measuring the heartbeats. If you see is that here the blue line detect or represents the heartbeats that are acquired from a reference system, and our radar based heartbeats in the red line. And here you will see for each of these peaks of each peak of the signal that defines or that denotes one heartbeat. So it is exactly where the reference system heartbeats are there. There also our radar based system has detected the heartbeats. Yes, there are some errors obviously. Sometimes the error is due to the signal quality, sometimes the error is due to the algorithmic errors and all. So the overall accuracy that we have attained is greater than 92%. That is on a corpus of external cohort on which we have computed this. So now comes like if I so if you go a moment back, take a step back and see that what I have done or what I am trying to do is that, first of all, I am dealing with human subjects. Secondly, I am trying to monitor a lot of parameters from that human subject. Presence, and then person tracking, then activity, and then this cardiopulmonary signals or the cardiopulmonary parameters, namely the heartbeat and the respiration. So all these I'm trying to do uh, from on an unobtrusive point of view using radars. So it's not a thing that if you come to me for measuring these parameters, so I cannot say or tell you that okay fine, I have taken your measurements, just wait for maybe 15 minutes, then I will show you the results, or I will tell you what was your breathing rate, what was your heart rate and all, so, or what was the temperature. So that's not done. So I need to have that system in exact working in an exact real-time manner. This is the first criteria for this type of systems. Secondly, as we are talking about continuous monitoring, so power consumption is a criteria that needs to be kept in mind. I need to have a sensing system or platform which has to work continuously without power outage. So even if my system or the sensors are working, like are battery operated, the power consumption has to be minimized so that the life cycle of these batteries can be extended as much as possible. Uh, like another important factor is that if you think about different hospital environments, even in our home, for example, in my own home, there are places where the internet facility goes down in one part of the ground floor. The ground floor almost has the phone tower becomes null. So that might be due to different issues. I'm not going into that. But now the requirement is that even without this internet outrages and all, I should have the system working. because the power is not there, like the power is insufficient or the internet bandwidth is very low. That should not be a criteria for excuse for this type of system to not work, because these are essential systems. And when we go for like healthcare platform delivery into hospitals or any to any end users, then our system should work in all the time. So uh, these are the requirements that my system has. So in just the problem that uh, my system or the system that we are trying to develop, that has different problems on the basis of a IoT deployment, because it's not enough only to measure or monitor the parameters. It is necessary to communicate, analyze, store and log those files like precisely and efficiently. So our solution generates a multitude of data points which needs to be communicated for processing and interfacing in real time manner. Now the data acquisition that we are doing, the operator can be a local operator or a remote user. For example, if I am talking about, so if I give you my radar based solution, if you have it at hand in front of you, then you can measure all these vital parameters and you can send it to a doctor who is maybe sitting back at Bangalore or Bombay, and then he can see all your reports. So that user or the end user requires a protocol which is stable yet flexible. So flexible protocol but a stable protocol for this IoT deployment is needed. And thirdly, uh, this demands for a suitable IoT based end-to-end system which will be able to meet the needs of real-time data retrieval and logging at the edge of the network, as well as to facilitate remote utility for the clients. So we need to have a IoT architecture that must comprise of a protocol which is stable and mature, which should be able to work in real time with low latency. It should comply with all the data transfer requirements, and it should work in low power resource constraint environments. So what we are looking for is about the application layer protocol. So among the different application layer protocol, we have uh, here we have deployed the MQTT protocol. The MQTT protocol is the message queuing telemetry transport protocol. If I maybe most of you know with this term, but if I want to give you just a rough overview of what this MQTT protocol is. um, Now this protocol was basically developed by IBM back in 1999 most probably. So they were trying to come up with a solution for a oil and gas pipeline. So for a oil and gas pipeline, they have deployed some sensors on those pipelines, and they wanted to communicate with those sensors, like communicate the data from those sensors with a satellite system. So for that, they had come up with this MQTT protocol. Now this MQTT is a very lightweight and data centric protocol. This is completely data agnostic protocol. It was made to operate on a low power and with low bandwidth requirements. So now in a very gist, it has a MQTT broker or a server uh, uh, on which different clients they subscribe or publish. So they like this MQTT protocol, it mainly relies on this pub sub model or this publish and subscribe model. So each and every client can publish and subscribe, and this is a message based protocol on which the data is published using different topic based filtering. So even the published data is in the form of different topics, and also the subscribed information is in the same way. And because of the data agnostic nature, it can work in both local as well as those networks which are using NAT or VPN. So what are we doing here, or how we are using here? So let me go back to a previous slide. Yes. So if you see, so we have this sensor node, what we call it as a sensor node. It is a it is a combination of our radars. We have two radars, so preamplifier, and then we are using a Raspberry Pi module for this data accumulation encoding and for the MQTT interface. Now the RPI's Wi-Fi is used for the data transfer in the network. There are different open source brokers for this MQTT. The most common is Mosquito and OpenHive. So among them, we are using the Mosquito. Now the idea is to tell you in a very brief, or the from the overview kind of thing. So what we wanted is that we have a box which comprises of the radars, the RPI, the electronics. So we have the provision that if you want, we can do the whole computation, like the data gets accumulated and stored in the RPI itself. And if you want if you means if the user wants, the complete computation can be done on the RPI itself. And when the computations are done, then only the values for the heart rate or the breathing rate or the different parameters, only those are transferred over to remote PC or a remote user who is on the other side or the other end. So this can be one thing. So that is this is this is also topic based. So if the one subscriber subscribes to that particular topic where only the parameters are being called from the sensor node, then we can do that. Otherwise, we also have a provision that the entire signal, so the entire signal gets transferred from the sensor node to any of the subscriber who are asking for it through the central broker or the central server. So there are these different provisions that we have kept in our system, because sometimes it happens is that maybe we are working in such a constrained environment where we have to mostly work in the offline mode. So there is no internet or Wi-Fi facility there, network there. Then the preferable thing will be to have everything locally on the RPI itself. And when we have the internet facility, or maybe we can also take out the micro SD card that is inside the RPI, and then do the data transfer and all. Otherwise, it happens is that, let's say for the hospital kind of scenarios, or for any medical testing kind of facilities, there these type of radar sensors can be deployed in different areas. Suppose there's a preliminary exploration room. So suppose when you go to visit a doctor in a polyclinic type of setup or a scenario, so first of all, you are made to sit in one particular room. There they measure your height, weight, etc. So along with your height, weight, and BP, your this pulse rate and heartbeats and respiration, along with the other respiratory parameters and different heartbeat parameters, can be measured unobtrusively and can be sent to a central facility. And that can be a central nursing facility, or can be sent directly to your doctors, where they can see these parameters. So as you know that these this has to work in those environments also. So we have kept these two different types of provisions of completely doing the analytics on the locally on the ARPA itself, or on any type of remote PC, or even on the cloud. So that subscriber can be PC, desktop, any Android application or anything like that. So that is a brief, if in very brief, what our IoT setup or IoT framework based is looked like. So we are also what we are proposing, not proposing, what we are trying to do is, so as I have told in the very initial part of my presentation, is that TCS have its own cloud platform that we called TCUP. We have different analytics or the algorithms running there, but now we are also developing a edge platform where we want to do most of these computations on the edge itself rather than going for the cloud. The cloud can have a very limited amount of information about the final product or the final computations that we are doing. So the sensor modules publish their data to a central broker, and thereafter the subscriber, when it listens to the internet port, simultaneously receives the data from the thread. So this is what we are doing. And secondly, like let's think about a apartment let's say that apartment area is 1000 square feet. It has it's a 2 BHK apartment and all. There I want to deploy this type of solution. So there I will need more than one like radar sensing modules to be deployed there. So it might have 2 or 3 radar modules. So all those 2 or 3 radar modules will publish to a central broker, where then the desktop app or the cloud app or any remote user app will subscribe to that broker to have those information, and then do a collective computation on all the information from all these sensor nodes. And if you think about a factory kind of setup or a hospital kind of setup, there instead of 2 or 3 sensing modules or sensor modules, there will be numerous sensor modules. Like a factory can have hundreds of these radar sensors deployed at different places, and all those informations from the different individual radar modules or the different sensor modules needed to be assessed or accessed from a same time, and we need to do some simultaneous computation and operation on them. So for all these purposes, after doing a lot of research and all, we have come up with this MQTT protocol of deploying this mainly because of the advantages that I have talked about. Yes, this is not a foolproof like any of the IoT protocols that you can talk about. The security issues are always there, it will be there, but like any other IoT protocol, the same similar kind of security uh, uh, like uh, constraints has to be kept in mind while using the same thing. So what I would like to mention here is that uh, my topic when I started is with the heading or the title is that IoT based unobtrusive human monitoring. I said that I work on the human monitoring part, but it started with the IoT based, not because of this particular FDP's idea is on IoT, but I wanted to stress on this idea that without this IoT framework, this edge or the cloud framework, the protocols that we are deploying, without any of this being in place, the solution that I am providing or the solution that I am building will not be called a solution or will not be called a platform by itself, because It would just be a sensor with some sensing capability, but having those capabilities are not enough. Instead, those capabilities has to be put in their own particular places, so that they can be deployed into a real life solution. And that's where these uh, edge or the cloud setups or the IoT based deployment is important or essential, because without the uh, deployment or the implementation of the IoT framework, we could not achieve this part. So we have filed a various patents, and we have different figures on the different parts of the solutions that we have. Um, so the solution that we have made, uh, if you think about the solution as a whole, the solution here I mean is that the solution comprises of that sensor node or the sensor module, the algorithm that it is it is working inside, as well as the IoT setup or the IoT framework that it is built upon. So all this together, I call it a solution. And what are the brownie points of a solution? First of all, it's a completely modular option. So if you want to we wanted it to be scalable across multiple scenarios or use cases. It is flexible, and we believe in open hardware ecosystem and open software system. We have developed it in the similar fashion. The solution is frugal, and it is built in such a way that it can be deployed if needed, even to the rural healthcare systems in our country, where these types of systems or solutions are needed mostly. So obviously, we when we are working with human monitoring, we are talking about societal impact, and we are able to like generate that with the help of this unobtrusive healthcare, because this there's a dearth of doctor to patient ratio, and whenever you are deploying something which can do at least 1% of a doctor's job, few minutes of a doctor's life you are saving, and that can save millions of lives over the doctor's own lifespan. So these are all the things that I have already explained, that how we are moving from sickness to health, to reaction to disease to prevention of disease, and that is how our system is mainly focusing on. So the edge architecture that I have talked about, that looks like more or like this, in a very nutshell. And apart from the solution, so all my long throughout my this presentation, I have talked about how we have deployed this IT based or the edge solution for the one solution, that is human monitoring using radars. But in here in TCS, we have different other applications. These are a few examples that I would like to show. This is an example of machine health condition that we are monitoring using a fusion at edge with unobtrusive sensors. So here, if you see, there is a radar setup. There are two different radar setups. There are like IR sensor. There is a mic array. So there are different types of sensors that are there, and then there's the edge on which we are working. So it is being able to deploy this same particular idea or same particular notion, but this is particularly for machine health condition monitoring. Next, we have a geofencing radar with edge. If you see that we have the radars, uh, what we called is geofencing is that we want to monitor the person's movement, or we want to restrict the person's movement to some areas at large factory floors or large warehouse floors, where it is very dangerous for the person to dwell into. But we don't want to put a like a wire or a barbed wire type of thing for fencing. Rather, we are using the radar with our complete solution for the same geofencing application. Then we have recently done this application of foreign particle detection on a factory setup, where the conveyor belt has different materials that is coming out of the mining ores and all. So just using a different type of sensor but with the same edge framework, we are able to detect the foreign particles that are present in those like the images that we are getting using a different type of RGB sensor. So that's in just about the the solutions that we are doing. Mainly when I'm talking about mostly about the human monitoring, that was my area of work, what I do. Not, I would say, my area of expertise. Another thing that I would like to mention, at least at the end, is that um, I do this human monitoring. The human signals are my area where from I belong to. Uh, Not the radars, not the IoT are my area of expertise, but they are equally essential when I try to develop this complete solution. Again, I am saying that without these IoT coming into picture, without the selection of a suitable protocol, deployment of that protocol in an efficient way, in a practical way, where we can actually leverage the advantage while minimizing the disadvantage of the protocol that we are using, are the essential factors that we had to keep in mind while developing this complete solution. So that's all from my side for today. Thanks everybody for uh, such patient and kind hearing. So if anybody of you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And also you have my contact details if you need anything. So thank you everybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. I hope the participants have got the idea of not only the theoretical aspects of IoT, but with the hardware and the overall setup of the total scenario, that how to implement IoT in real life, as from the industry we are actually working on. So I hope that will be a great talk for the participants. So we have some questions in the QA section. If any other participants have any questions, please ask the question. You can type the question in the chat box or preferably in the QA section. So, ma'am, we are going for the question answer round. Can I just read out the questions?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So the first question is from Obijit Bose. How do we calculate the threshold of a movement in cardiovascular monitoring?
uh, Now, there's this threshold movement. It needs a lot of information that you need at hand. This threshold movement. So when I was talking about the movement threshold, that was human movement threshold. So if you look at the radar signature, when suppose the radar is placed and the person is moving, that is also a vibration signature that the radar is capturing. And even if the person, if he or she is not moving, the vibration because of the chest wall is also a vibration that the radar is capturing. But those two signatures are different, and though they are not only the morphology but also the intensity levels are different, the periodicity is different. So based on these different parameters, the movement threshold is calculated. So though I am calling it a movement threshold just to show what we are doing very briefly, but it considers a lot of different parameters for those physiological signals that we are considering.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Next question is from Dr. Shorit Chakraborty. I think the full question has not been given by you. I'm just trying to make the question out of the question he has given. That is, I think he is trying to ask for registration of activity signatures, background influence is considered. If yes, how?
Mm, okay. Yes, background
Hello.
information is always captured. So, when we are talking about radars or any type of sensors, the background signature is there, but for the radars, what alters the signature of the signal are the clutter noises and all. So for the activity recognition, we mainly use FMCW type of radar. For them, the clutter separation is much easier than the other type of radars that we have at hand. So yes, it is done. And how, as you have asked, how? So there are many different ways you can search for those papers and all that are there in literature that has different standard ways of uh, uh, detecting and dealing with the background influence or noises.
Thank you, ma'am, for the answer. Suparna,
Okay,
ma'am.
ma'am. And sir, if there is no other questions, yes, hello, hello,
Hello.
hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. I got muted. Sorry.
Yes, is there? I think there is no other question, right?
No, ma'am. There is no more questions.
Okay.
All the questions have been answered by
So,
ma'am.
okay. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. We have our valedictory session from the 7:30 p.m. onwards. If you could make time and join us during that valedictory session, it will be great for us. Otherwise, thank you so much for giving your precious time and enlighten us with your talk. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr.
Ma'am,
Shah.
ma'am,
And
1 minute, ma'am. Ma'am, if we got any questions about your topic, then we will be forwarding to you, ma'am.
yes, yes, sure,
Suparna, ma'am,
sure, sure.
if we get the questions from
Yeah.
the
Okay.
participants, then we may collect it, no?
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
please
Okay.
feel free
If
to
we get anything other
contact
than
me
that.
over mail. So you can just forward the questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here and
Okay. Thank
listening so
you.
patiently. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, actually, the Prem Kumar, can you just check the next participant? Next speaker has already been joined as he has informed me, but I am unable to see him in the panelist list. Is he in the
Yeah,
attendees list? Can you just check Doipan Sardar?
Yes, ma'am. Sir is
yeah, I
joining
have
right now.
joined. Can you hear
Uh,
me?
okay, I can hear you, but okay. Sorry, I don't know by somehow it's not showing. Okay, yeah, okay. So let us welcome our next speaker, Mr. Doipayan Sardar. Welcome, sir. The next speaker we have with us is Mr. Doipan Sardar, Senior Developer, Qualcomm India. He is an embedded software developer currently working as a firmware engineer in Qualcomm India for 2 years. His primary area of work includes optimizing power and performance in the Wi-Fi subsystem of Qualcomm Snapdragon chipset. He is currently working on implementing the latest power-safe technologies like DTIM and protocol optimization in embedded software. He has some exposure in multi-threaded programming, the Hexagon DSP engine based on ARM V7 or V8 architectures. He has completed Master of Technology in Electrical Engineering from IIT Bombay and Bachelor's in Electronics and Telecommunication from Jadavpur University. His professional interests include developing and debugging low complexity IoT devices for home. Today, his topic will be on fundamentals of IoT architecture, connectivity, and security. Within a few years, more than 50 billion smart devices will be connected to the internet. Those architectures are already enabling new business models, capabilities, and applications, making IoT knowledge indispensable even for IoT enthusiasts. The speaker will discuss the essentials for sensors, actuators, smart objects, IoT protocols, connectivity, security, data analytics, and key industry applications. He will explore today IoT network architecture and necessary security considerations, show how to leverage the power of immense data to design IoT vertical market. So welcome you sir once again, and can you just open the screen share mode? We can just check whether everything is
Okay,
okay or
okay,
not.
okay. Just 1 minute.
Hello,
In
hello
share,
sir.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just 1 minute.
Yes, sir. No problem, sir.
You can hear me, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Yes, sir. Can hear you. And the participants, do you have any questions? You can type it in the QA section. That will be preferable for us. Otherwise, if you cannot find that section, you can type it in the chat box. Yes, sir. Yes, we can view your presentation now. Yes, sir. It is now
Okay.
good. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Over to you, sir. And thank you for giving your time. Thank you, sir. You can start now.
Okay. So introduction. This lecture will be on basic fundamentals of IoT architecture and connectivity, and what are the smart objects used there, how they're connected, and how the data are fed to the application layer for more processing and the decision making. So all those base will be discussed in this slide. Okay. Okay. How does? Yes. Okay. So the first thing is what is IoT? So I'll explain it a little bit. Like, it is a very fuzzy to all of us. What is IoT? As technology is changing very fast, and this IoT thing is actually changing according to the needs of the customer, needs of the industry, applications, and its definition is also changing very much. Okay. So new gadgets are coming, new security threats are coming. So that's why it is IoT. That's why it is, the definition is changing very fast. So some to some people, this could be just sensors who are working first on IoT. This could be just sensors sensing something and processing something. Let's say some decision making, just like one fire alarm, basic fire alarm that can sense a fire and buzzes the alarm. To some people, it could be IoT. Okay, so this IoT concept is made by actually Kevin, where he in his MIT presentation he used this term in 1999 in his presentation. That Internet of Things, he actually made this term, and it could be automation. It could be, nowadays it could be like e-health, like the smart bands, machine to machine talking, that is M2M, or it could be just tracking, like vehicular tracking in the very high-end cars. Okay, so it is a mix of all these things. So going to next slide. What are the building blocks of IoT? Just 1 moment. I cannot move this screen. 1 moment.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
just excuse me once a
Yes,
moment.
sir.
I
Yes, sir.
can.
Please, sir.
Can I minimize this video screen? It's blocking my view. Okay, I think it's gone now. Okay, sorry for the distraction. Yes. So the first slide, the first part, let's say it gives an example of a manufacturing industry where there is a sensor. It collects sensors and it collects sensory data, let's say for temperature or pressure or something. It sends the data over the wireless. Then it stores those data in a space that is called cloud. we'll explain cloud later. Okay, and finally it connects to another system, and through the operating system, that is the laptop, or here there the operator is there who can monitor the data and give some decisions according to the data. It could be a robotic automation like this. It could be smart home like this, where your data, you have a lot of sensors in the in your home, like proximity sensors, parking sensors, theft sensors, and you can connect it to a central location, just say like your mobile. And mobile also hosts the cloud and your application layer. This IoT also has a layered architecture like OSI, but not exactly like OSI. It is a little bit different, a little bit simpler, and has its and it is modified according to its use, according to its use in present day. It can also be used as surveillance and transport, like smart tracking in transport, surveillance for security. Okay, so these are the more examples, like the building blocks. Sorry. So we have to understand one thing, that IoT, Internet of Things, it started things. Okay, so these are just the examples where you can use IoT, like smart agriculture, industry, remote oil rig, where actually the crew on site, they can be used for production, and the data that is inside the mine, that can be sent to another application, to people who are not exactly there. They can monitor it from remote location. So remote oil rig, smart parking, some logistics and manufacturing, like RFID. RFID is a very good example of IoT. Whenever RFID tags can tell you like the location of a device. Let's say you want to automate a manufacturing device manufacture in a factory, and there are a lot of things, they are shipped from different places in the world, and all of them are tagged with a RFID. So RFID carries the info, where it should be attached, how it should be attached, and in what sequence it is to be attached, and its current location. This is just an example. And also street lighting. Street lighting plays an important role in if you can smartly let's say control it, you can save a lot of electricity. And parking and this traffic light control, that also plays a very important role in traffic congestion, avoiding traffic congestion, and this helps actually manual effort by the traffic police. So yes, everything you will carry will ultimately be connected to the internet. As we are seeing in last few years, even our health data like heart rate, BP, pressure, all those things, altitude, which altitude we are residing, they all can be gathered from a smartwatch, and that is ultimately stored in some profile that is maintained by your Android app. So basically, it is connected to the mobile, connected to the internet, and that is and this slide shows us the amount of data like every minute. This is like, I think 2 years ago. So now it will be like little bit more, and for a single person to process all this data, it will approximately like take 5 years or maybe more. Okay, so that is the amount of data that is connected to the internet, and every minute all over this population. Okay, so yes, this is the lower level data processing, very lower level data processing, that is like from the sensor level to the data storage. From sensors, lot of data can be there. Of course, they don't post a lot of data, but they can post it all over the day. So data accumulation could be very high, and we don't want to process all those data. Okay, so we should have some basic mechanism or basic computing level just before the actual data processing level. That is called this fog or edge computing level. So that is the first level of data processing. That it cleaned. That is like one way of cleaning the data that could be used by the application layer. That could be used by the machine learning layers, which can actually classify the data. Okay, so these are the overview of the challenges we face when we make a professional IoT network. It's like first thing is network. Everyone is connected. I already showed you the amount of data that is being carried by the network, and IPv4 doesn't work here. IPv6 is the only way. And as the sensors and all the smart objects, well, the smart objects are the sensors, which are sensors and actuator intact. This part that is actually sensing the data, transmitting the data over the air to the fog layer, to the cloud for more processing, or to a central station. That also need to be secured. Those data should not be sniffed by another one. And if anyone can sniff that data also, they should not be able to make something out of it. So security is a very important concern. These sensors are very exposed to the real world, and this is very public network. You cannot have lot of encryption, and you cannot use a lot of license channels also. Otherwise, the deployment cost will go high. And constraints will be like, as there are not as when you make a home network, we use very cheap components, right? Like Zigbee, Bluetooth, and also in a home network there is also a lot of noise from your mobile and from your TV, lot of electromagnetic noise. So this medium is very lossy, and the smart objects, sensory devices you use, they also run in very low power. So basically, that is the most important constraint. Small battery, so they cannot transmit in very high transmission power. And also sensors can be moving, like in automotive, sensors can be moving. In a process industry, sensors can be moving. And also said like the volume data volume is very large. And also as per requirement, the technology is changing, but there are some standard protocols which can support the legacy, like the older architectures. That has also to be maintained because of scalability. In present day, you are, let's say, in one architecture, and next day, if you have to like discard all of the old architecture, then it's a like loss of revenue. And also like real-time support sensors, like the processor could be able to collect the data from the sensors. It will process instantaneously, give you some result. Otherwise, let's say in an alarm system, if it is a delay, then people are in threat, right? If a fire alarm doesn't act quickly, the people are in threat. So real-time support is also very necessary. Okay. So this is very very basic architecture model of IoT. It is the ETSI model. There is the sensor layer where the smart objects, they will connect with just machine to machine. There are just machines. So machine to machine connections will be there, mostly on wireless, but wired connection will also be there. So the main protocol used here is 802.15.4. That is the main protocol used. Sometimes for IPv6, 802.15.4G and 802.11AH, this can be used. These are actually a little bit different from the traditional Wi-Fi networks like 802.11 because we don't need to stream a lot of data. Like we don't need to watch YouTube. Like that volume of data is not required. So data can be very it can come from a lot of sensors. So a lot of channels and a lot of switching, channel hopping should be there. Some notification came on the, no, sorry. So a lot of channels will be there, and each sensor will not take up much data bandwidth. And also each sensors have to wake up anytime, and let's say it wants to talk with the storage part. This is the fog layer part. So it has to, at that time, it wants the channel to be free to send data. And from that layer we go to the network domain. That is mostly like mostly LTE and wide area Wi-Fi, that is WiMAX. And from that, it is actually connected to the application layer or the internet, what we call is internet. From all the this internet thing, actually operators are also here, and also the machine learning algorithms are also there. They are also they'll basically classify the data for you, make the decisions what is actually going on in the process domain. So initially IoT was M2M only. So this is a 3-layered basic architecture that was, I think it came before around 2002, 2003, I think. And actually there are also no standards back then. Like Wi-Fi, we have Wi-Fi Alliance standard, IEEE standard, but for IoT there are no standards at that time. After it came, like after some time YSAN came. We'll discuss about those things. Okay, so this one looks like a little bit like a OSI model, like the physical layer at the bottom, like which contains sensors, the actuators. Actuators also means controllers. There are also hardware controllers, not only software controllers. Actuators will mean like something will move the environment, control the environment, and along with some data processing in hardware. And then network communication network that will transfer the data, those raw data, to the edge computing layer. That is the preliminary processing. Okay, and then there will be storage, that optimized and basic process data that will be stored in the storage part. That is sometimes cloud, sometimes also physical devices. And data abstraction layer, yes. So the numerical data that is stored in the storage, we have to make some sense out of it. So it doesn't, it is input is data and output will be some decision. Let's say some machine learning algorithm gives some decision, classification according to those data, and that will be fed to application and connected to the internet to actually review. The human operator will actually review reporting will occur. Reporting to the application, it will be stored in a database, then it will be actually read by some individual to see if it is correct or not, and then actually they will give some feedback. They will give some feedback that will be directly given to the physical devices and controllers. So 7 and 6 both are, most of them are human intervention. Application layer is mostly software. 7th is completely human. Okay. Yeah. So this is architectural perspective on sensors. Just a moment. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I already spoke that our power is the important constant here. Like range is also short, and also TX power is less, battery is less, so the sensors will not transmit, like the transmit power will be very less. So battery is an important constraint here. How much battery should we keep? Sometimes sensors are connected and they like suck power from the central power. That is like more easy, but they cannot go beyond few, let's say, meters because of the wirings. Wireless can be easy. Let's say in a agriculture, you cannot have wired sensors because the sensors like humidity sensors, uh, cloud sense, like rain sensors, on all those things, sun, they has to be placed miles away. And if the sensors are moving or static, is it a static sensor or a moving sensor? That is another constraint. And how much frequency the sensor will report data to its next layer, that can also depend a lot. And the data that is provided by the sensor, that is like simple raw analog data, single channel, or like a complex human, let's say EEG data or ECG data, they can have a EEG and ENG data. This can have lot of channels. That could be very lot of channels and lot of complex data will be there. So simple or rich data, that is another thing. And transmission range, like it could be like inside a home or inside a farm. Farm will be very large. And density, another thing is density. Like in a home, you can have lot of sensors in a small part, in a small area, and in a farm you can have like the sensors will be very sparsely situated. Okay, so let's talk about the smart objects. So sensor is one smart object. So what are sensors? Sensors can sense any physical quantity and it can convert them to a electrical signal. That in turn, that will be converted by ADC to an digital signal and transmitted digitally. Mostly nowadays, digital transmission occurs digitally to the next level. And yes, sensing is not analyzing. Let's say you are sensing some medical data of like ECG, some pressure, all those things, and analyzing a person is healthy or not. That is not sensing, that is analyzing. That is after sensing, you are making some decision. And types could be like position, motion, and force and pressure, light, temperature, humidity. These are the examples. Okay. So there are different types. We have seen different types of sensors. Now we will try to categorize them, like whether they're active or passive. Like some sensors can, like whenever they are acted upon by signals from the environment, they can get power from there itself. So they don't need like external power to powering them up. So that those are passive sensors. There are also active sensors. Most of the sensors we use are active. We give power, they sense something, give back us the data. Is it like invasive or non-invasive? Like it is going inside the environment to measure, or it can measure it remotely. It is very similar to contact and non-contact. Like thermometer, that can be like contact, like in childhood when you use the contact-based thermometers. Now for COVID, they have the non-contact gun-like thermometers. They're based on radiation-based. And what does it sense? The data. Is it absolute or it is relative? Absolute, of course, you know that most of the sensors give absolute data, but there are also sensors which give data which are relative to some reference. Let's say potentiometer based distance sensor, or that could be like used in let's say in electrical. Whenever there is a fault in electric wires or communication wire, we use a potential in one end. So one end to measure where the fault has occurred. This is like a 4-port network. There is one 4-port network is the communication system that has been damaged at one point. Another 4-port network, that is the small transformer you are using. We connect it, and according to the potentiometer adjustment and according to the distance, we can measure exactly from that point how many kilometers the fault has occurred. These both actually for transmission wires, like power transmission wires, that is applicable. It is also applicable to the phone transmission wires also. And anyway, the detection technology, what it is using, like thermometer, like it can use radiation based technology, or it can use some metal like mercury. That is another technology, old technology. Just one moment. Yes. Okay. So this in basic control systems, these sensors and actuators, they form a closed loop. So sensors basically sense the environment, whatever the physical quantities are there. They make the basic whatever is going on in the environment, make it to digital and feed it to the software. So the upper blue arrow, that is the thing, sense and digital conversion. It gives it to the digital controller, and digital controller makes out the intelligence out of it, and it acts in the real world through the actuators. So the 7 layers we discussed, most of the layers, like the upper 5 layers, are mostly present in the digital controller part, and lower 2 layers, that is the sensor layer and the fog layer, that are generally in the real world. Sometimes it is, most of the time it is present in the real world physical environment. Now we have sensors, like they already do the fog computing and give you the ADC, like the digital data. Let's say in a phone you have a lot of sensors like camera, proximity, light, and also there is a closed loop. Let's say you are calling in a mobile, and whenever you like the ear is closer, then the proximity sensor senses that the ear is closer, it actuates the screen. In this case, the actuator is the screen, so the screen turns off. So this is one feedback loop that goes on in your phone. There are a lot of other things also, like you are playing game, the accelerometer and barometer, they also plays a great role. They are the sensors, and your game is the like digital that is the output basically. Controller is your phone. Okay, these are the smart objects. So two basic things we have discussed, that is the sensors and the actuators. And to make them smart, we need power source, communication system, and a little bit of processing unit. That is sometimes a partial part of the fog unit, fog or edge unit. Okay. Yeah. So this is one example of a sensor actuator network, whatever the closed loop system we spoke about is a SANET. That is a basic typical name called SANET, group of sensor actuators that can cooperate over a network. So smart homes are generally, they're considered as a SANET, while all the sensors, they're acted as like one tree network, and the central part is your phone. So it is also called centrally controlled. The basic controller is your phone, and it also takes in all the data and tells you what to do, what is the decision. And also, yes, most of the sensors are wireless. Some of the times we use wired sensors also. Okay, so how these sensors are connected to like either each other or to the central station. So wireless sensor network, WSN. So on the left side, the devices, there will be the smart devices, let's say, the sensors along with the transmission system, along with the basic computing system. And then again, that will be connectivity. And there will be some rules engine, that is the data abstraction layer. It will push the data to the application, some human intervention will be there, and it will give some decision based on the human intervention and the rules engine. It will actuate back in the environment. It will then transmit again, and it will then transmit back again to the sensor area, actuator area. So these yellow things, they are the challenges. Basically, I already spoke, the limited source of power. Network is sometimes lossy because there are a lot of networks, like devices to cloud, then the cloud to the this application layer. There are a lot of part of the network, so they might be lossy. And also, if everything is smart in an area, channels are limited. So everybody is shouting. Shouting means everybody is transmitting. So basically, it is loud. If something is loud, then of course, if a lot of people are talking, we cannot listen cannot listen clearly. So data collision and corruption is a very important thing, the important challenge. And also we need cheap sensors, cheap networks, which are easily deployable, whichever we use in our home. Memory is also limited. We cannot, because ultimately anything we store in the cloud, that will ultimately be physically mapped to somewhere. So memory is also limited. And also a lot of memory means a lot of cost and a lot of power. And also processing power is, of course, not so much. So generally in this type of networks, we prefer slow speeds. Slow speeds, and it's like listen before transmit. This type of strategy is involved to encounter these data glitches. Okay, so moving over to next slide. Yes, so 802.15.4, that is the basic IoT protocol. That is standardized much later. IoT came in market. Like something came, and after that standard was made IEEE 802.15. 802.15 is actually the personal area network that was standardized, and 0.4, that is the Wi-Fi part of that wireless sensor parts. And there are also amendments, like amendments means some new things were amended, some enhancements were made to those things. So these are the constraints for this type of network, and why it is like why you cannot use the 802.11, we have to use 802.15. So these are the most important points, like CPU power is limited. It is not in case of 802.11. It is different. CPU power is like not limited. It's almost like CPU or a mobile. Battery is limited. It is also like it has to be scalable. Scalable means you can add or remove the smart objects whenever we can. And also they has to be very like, it has to be maintained less, like changing battery. If it has gone bad, then we can easily replace it. And yes, whenever it wants to access the wireless medium, it has to access like real time. It has to access then, and then again go back to sleep to save power. So these short area networks, these are personal area networks, PANs. This 802.15.4, these protocols are introduced because of these things, these points, keeping in mind. And also like in Wi-Fi, the frames are not simple. And also there are a lot of frames, a lot of control. But here we need only 4 or 5 basic frames. And also they're very simple ones. And also after amendment of these MAC amendments of this protocol, hardware also came to support all of this. So specific hardwares were made. So these are the standards. I only highlighted out those which we will use. At 802.15 is the personal area, basic personal area network. And final amendment, the low data rate as sensors will not transmit a lot of data, so low data rate. And also the environment will be noisy, so to easily understand, data rate should be low. Let's say if someone speaks very loud and also like very slow and very fast, so transmission power is less, and also he's speaking in a high frequency, high data rate. It's very difficult to understand. And if lot of other sensors are there, they're also talking, so it's more difficult. So that's why low rates, speaking slowly. 802.15.4e, some MAC enhancements were made in 2012, and 4G, that is the most important one, that is SUN. SUN means smart utility networks. And sometimes in this amendment, this file layer is modified to actually operate in a much larger area, larger than your home. Let's say in a factory, so in a field, so it can operate over there. That is the 4G part. Usually the WPANs have have only the range of home, like 30 feet kind of. The topology, most of the topology we use are star topology because it is very easy to use. One central controller and others are like slaves. And first we need to understand what are the device types here. The blue ones, they're the fully functional device. So let's say what is fully functional device? If we have the device like the smart sensor or actuator or both, and there is a coordinator who will control those, and another is the PAN coordinator, that is the network coordinator. So if we have a network coordinator, we need that one should be blue, that is a fully functional device. The endpoints can be the reduced functional device, just only the smart object, that is only the smart object. And they can also be like FFDs, and they can also connect to another network of RFDs, or the reduced functional device. So that is also enhancement of the star network. Then we come to the mesh or tree. Tree will be like similar to the star, but the leaves sometimes also have further leaves. Leaves means endpoints. Endpoints are leaves. So mesh is very common. Okay. And in this case, most of the times the sensors which have their own MAC, own MAC and own PHY, they transmit the data. They have a unique 64-bit address. But within the network, this 64-bit doesn't work. They generally take care of the 16-bit relative address. That is the LS byte. That is the lower byte of those lower 2 bytes 16-bit address. Generally we use. Okay, so we'll discuss about MAC and PHY of the objects which are discussed here, the devices. What is the role of a PHY? Mainly TXRX, and also you have to activate or deactivate the RF receiver and transmitter, because you cannot always put it on, because RF in a smart object, RF is the part that draws out most of the current. That's like more than 80% of the current is drawn by the RF transceiver. We cannot keep it on. If we want to keep it on, like then our low power constraint will not be in effect. And also it could be like energy detection. Whenever it wants to talk, it detects for some energy in the medium on the channel to see if someone is speaking in that channel. Then it, if it is like energy is less, let's say lot not lot of people are talking, he will start transmitting. So that is energy detection for or collision detection purpose. And also quality detection of the RX packet. Whenever a RX packet comes, you have to decide whether you will process it completely or not. Let's say the packet which I have shown here, it is 6 bytes plus a lot of bytes. And receiving all of those bytes can take time. Time means power. Power means battery, your battery is less, it will drain faster. So by seeing the preamble, we can preamble and the, yes, mostly the preamble, we can decide is this frame is for us or not. So that you can early, like something, there is something in Wi-Fi called EBT, uh, early beacon termination. When we see just the frontal part of the beacon, and let's say it is a normal beacon, we don't have data, we can just terminate it then and there. We don't need to receive whole of the frame. That is basic power saving. And also channel change, channel hopping. I said, like if one channel is busy, we need to transfer that, we need to send data, we have to hop to another channel. It became busy in a place of like one, we are transmitting some data, one channel, that channel got busy, so we can hop to another channel for better reception. And this frame consists of like preamble delimiter, and the frame length. How frame length also tells about, let's say we need that frame, and also it tells about when we want to stop the TXRX RFA radio frequency part. So that calculates the time and exactly it stops at the perfect time. So that's why frame length comes earlier. So channel and modulation, which are used in the phi level, RFA level, digital level, and after that analog over the air packets are sent. So mostly we use FSK, PSK, and OFDM. In case of frequency shift keying, we know that the data lies in the frequency, changing the frequency. So amplitude is constant. So there is less loss of data, because if amplitude is changing over a longer path, wherever the amplitude is small, that data might be lost. Because the amplitude is small, it is like comparable to noise, then it can be lost, easily lost. So FSK is, that's where this FSK is power efficient. That same applies for the PSK also. Where the data resides in phase, we change the angle of the wave. And OFDM is a bit complex thing, and also it is not used in home networks, or let's say very cheap, easily deployable networks. Yeah, we know that in a in a EOF, this E field and M field, electric field and magnetic field are 90 degrees situated to each other. So OFDM does something like rotating this E field and magnetic field, and they create the data like that. And sorry, and generally we use like any frequency in the ISM band. Generally 2.4 gigahertz is used. Like there are 16 channels. Channel numbers are also there, 11 to 26, and each is separated by 5 megahertz. The channels. And there above the phi layer, there will be some MAC. See here, this phi service data unit, PSDU, that will be a data that is fed to the MAC. And the other three, preamble, start of frame, delimiter, and frame length, that will be already like they'll be eaten. Let's say they're processed by the file layer, and this PSDU that will be fed to the MAC layer. And also there will be some frame control, data sequence number, addressing to which address does it want to go, and then ultimately the data will be there. So the frame types will be beacon, that is also present in Wi-Fi to synchronize the devices. Let's say it will be beaconing to say it is like I'm alive, whether you are alive or not, something like that. Not exactly keep alive, but like beaconing, I'm here. And then this will be generally, beacon frame will generally be sent by the coordinator, not the leaves. In the topology, the controller can only send the beacon frames. It is same as the AP or access point in a Wi-Fi. Our phone, that is the station that is connected to AP, that never sends a beacon, that receives the beacon to just to check if the connection is all right or not. Then again it goes to sleep. Then there will be data and data acknowledgement, and also like command frames will be there. That is the controlling the peers. Some enhancements, yes. So G, some enhancements are in 802.15.4G. Some enhancements are done in the MAC layer, like security, some hardware security was added to mask the MAC address. Some channel hopping thing, what I already told, that is used for better reception. Jumps the channel from channel to channel. Frequency is same, center frequency is same, but channel to channel it jumps. And beacon is also like enhanced a bit. Info element is enhanced. There is another bit, single bit is used. Information element. Okay, so we have, most of us have used Zigbee if we have like used to transmit the data like home Wi-Fi. Zigbee is the most important most commonly used things. So this is a Zigbee stack. Whatever MAC and file layer we discussed according to the 802.15.4, that it uses complete hardware specification, that is IoT specification by MAC and file. And additionally, it gives some also software, like some network security, it gives some application will be there, some software will be there to send the data. So there will be more encapsulation of the MAC data and sent it to the application. And in this case, a Zigbee can be a coordinator, can be a router, can be an end device with just one sensor. Router can be like, if we come to this one on the rightmost diagram, there is one center element that is connected to the 4 other elements. That, let's say, that is the coordinator, and the lower 2 elements, these 2 elements are the leaves. They're like let's say they are the Zigbee with just the sensor, and the middle elements of the other 2 nodes, they're the routers. Basically, they can sense their data also, and when whatever the leaf is sending them, they want to route it back to the coordinator. And also coordinator wants to send some command, they have to go through the router, similar to Ethernet topology. So these are the uses of Zigbee. It's generally not used in smart grid, but there is an enhanced Wi-SUN version of the Zigbee that is used in smart grid. Generally, that is used. And coming to security, one thing is, actually I will discuss only basic security because I could not complete the security. There is a lot of things in security I have noted down, but I didn't get time for making the slides of security. There are a lot of things here. So yes, security. Which are the main security threats? Those are old things, old IoT infrastructures which can be attacked easily by a threat. One is a PLC. Those are they're used in like older days, and they never use like OS, traditional OS, that is a Linux and traditional Linux and Windows, or RTOS. Actually, in these cases, RTOS is used. They have their hardware logic and very easy to steal data from those. There are HMI. HMI also used like old Windows OS, but nowadays HMI have like they have advanced a lot more. And there are supervisory workstations which are only read-only things, which read-only data points, where they will store the data and show to the supervisors, to the human for human intervention. And there is also a lot of less security. They're generally read-only, but it can like leak a lot of information out. So basic threats. Endpoint vulnerability means the endpoint are the sensors, those are the smart objects. Let's say you are in an oil rig, there is a sensor, oil sensor or something like that, that is placed in the endpoint of the oil tunnel. And that sensory data that is carried out to the people who are remotely monitoring that station. But that data is confidential, because that data tells you how much oil is there, how much pressure is there, how much risk is there to take out the oil. If that data gets out, it could be a loss for the oil industry. So this is just an example. So endpoint things are very simple. These smart objects, they don't support a lot of security, because they don't have a lot of power, lot of CPU power. Power means electrical power, lot of CPU power also. They are mostly remote. And if we can also, like in case of fire alarms, if we can like manage those, some enemy can manage those endpoints, one can bypass a fire alarm, let's say. So basically service will be disrupted. So after the service will be disrupted, of course the equipment will not work, the factories may burst, a lot of things can happen. And unauthorized access are there. Like IoT devices, the smart objects, they are always like distributed in some place. In farm, they are very distributed. In a factory, there are also a lot of places they are distributed. So sometimes it gets easy to steal data from those things. And also this data stored at some point, there could be some network connectivity endpoint to access those data. If those are unsecured, somebody may connect an USB or Ethernet to steal the data. That is also possible. And the traditional threats which we get is like MAC spoofing. Like some enemy is acting as a MAC. First it will sniff the address of the actual MAC, and then it will act as an actual MAC, and it will send the data. It is like acting like a actual smart object. So that is a traditional threat. MAC flooding, it's like if we flood a lot of data into the sensor, MAC flood, then it might not work completely. Also a lot of attacks like DNS. This is the lower level. MAC and MAC spoofing and flooding, there are very lower level threats. And there are also upper level threats like upper layer level DNS and ARP poisoning. Basically the packet poisoning. So these are the most important reasons why these are occurring. Like as the technology is very fast, moving very fast, most of this protocol gets very old. And security threats are like security. A lot of people are there. They can just breach the security easily, and like lack of maintenance. They don't easily change the things. Always change the smart objects, change the protocol, change the technology basically. And there is a lot of threat when there is a separation of the operators. Human operators are there. Whenever there is a change or shift of those people, someone is going and someone is coming in night shift, let's say, those time it is a easy way to sneak in and grab some data. And also like password is also like, we don't like to change password lot or more often. That is another basic threat. So yes, I think that will be all. This is not much, but has a like basic overview of IoT, how it works. So Sriparna, I think can go for question answer session.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, dear participants, do you have any questions? Please ask in the QA section. We have one question already. That is from Nimisha Pandey. Sir, I'm reading out the question. While designing any security algorithm, which topology should we consider?
Actually, designing some security algorithm, anything can be fine. But most of the in unsecured and insecure topology is the star. Because somehow if we can manage to get in the controller, manage to know what is the controller, then everything is gone. Every smart object that will crash, and if every smart object crashes, the whole system will crash. And the best algorithm we should use is mesh, or there is a better version in this time that is also called NAN. NAN means there is a mesh that is typically used in Wi-Fi, but I think IoT also uses it to some level. So let's say I said there will be a controller and there will be some other sensors that will be connected to the controller. In this mesh network, controller changes randomly. Controller switches back. So switches from one to another. So someone is a controller, after some time it is not a controller, it is just a smart object getting some data. So it is very difficult for the person intervening from outside to get to know what is going on there, who is controlling the data. So mesh and NAN, these are very good algorithms, good topology for security.
Okay, so actually basically the centralized ones are not suitable in respect of the
Yes, not suitable. And
the distributed ones we should go
they're also very easy to deploy. See, I gave one example of a home network. Whenever I design, let's say, smart switch for our light, or say for our fan, which central thing will we connect? Our mobile, right? Or let's say one controller. It could be one controller with a RTOS in it that will be ultimately connected to our mobile. So that will be star. So star network, it is very easy to deploy.
Yeah, right. Okay. So we have another question from Mr. Obhijit Bose. What is DHCP attack?
Okay. So DHCP, first of all, DHCP, that is a dynamic IPs which are given to the and it also changes. Let's say when we are connected to one network and we get a automatic, not static IP, automatic IP that is given to the DHCP, dynamic IPs, and there is a range of those IPs. So it is very easy for the attackers to disguise himself within that range. So in that case, it can jam the network by sending a lot of frames. In that case, that will be like rogue DHCP. And it can also, if it can sniff the default gateway, it can also sniff, take in some important data from it, acting as like it is one of the member in the network. So this is basic DHCP attack. And for this, generally in secure company, secure network, we have static IP locations. And also those static IP locations, they are also very limited, like localized. Localized means in one building, one part of the building, these IP ranges should be used. Another part of the building, another IP range should be used. Kind of these static allocations that has to be made.
Okay. Okay, sir. We don't have any other questions right now. If any of the participants have any questions, please write it down in the Q&A section. But I think there are no other questions left. So
Okay.
thank you so much, sir, for giving your time and your valuable knowledge you shared with us. I hope the participants got an overall idea about the total setup of the IoT. And during the last 5 days, they have heard about different aspects of the IoT. And today, in the concluding lecture, you have given us the overall idea about the IoT security aspects.
Yes, that
Thank
was the
you, sir.
idea.
Once again. Yeah, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable time. We are hoping to get you once again. Yes, we are. If we get one participant has asked for the PPT, if we got from the speakers, all the speakers, after getting the PPTs from all the speakers, we are going to share with view all the participants. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, you are
Thank you.
welcome.
If
Everyone
we
is
have a
welcome.
valedictory session from 7:30 p.m., if you can have that time and stay with us at
7:30
7:30 p.m.,
today.
it will be. Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, okay,
Uh,
sure, sure.
okay.
Same
It will
link,
be.
right?
Yeah, yes, sir. Same link.
Okay.
It will be great. Thank you, sir. Okay. So actually, the webinar team just give me 1 or 2 minutes. I'm just talk with the HOD ma'am and let you know what's next scene. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Just
okay.
give me 1 minute.
Yes, ma'am. Meanwhile, we can tell the participants that if they have any questions, they can put it in the chat box or in the question answer section, so that we can forward it to our eminent speakers, sir.
Yeah. Any questions? I think they can also type in the QA section.
Sir, Santanu Bhadra is asking that can we get the PPT?
Yes, yes, yes. Of course. Of course. I can send it to Sriparna and
Yes. So already
I.
we are streaming in the YouTube, and the video can
Oh,
be
then it will be there, I think.
video can be shared with the participants. And if you give the PPT, then also it will be good, sir.
Okay, I'll send it to Sriparna.
Okay, sir. For participants, if you have any questions or do you want to know any information regarding the topic, please post it in the chat box or in the question answer section.
Yeah. Okay, so participants, we have the validity session from the 7:30 p.m. sharp. Till that time, have tea, have some nasta or whatever the thing you want to have. Keep social distancing, maintain that. We'll be back at 7:30 p.m. sharp in the valedictory session. Thank you for joining with us. We are hoping you are all going to come and join us again at the 7:30 p.m. So webinar team, you can pause the YouTube streaming till that
Yes,
amount of
yes,
time.
yes,
We can,
yes,
if
ma'am.
is it possible to pause it?
Yes, ma'am. We will be just keeping it in the break mode, and
Okay, okay, okay,
we
fine.
will be sharing all the quiz link that is important for getting the certificate in the valedictory session only.
Yeah,
So
after
for all
the validation
participants,
session,
yes, yes, ma'am. For all participants,
yes,
we will be still streaming this platform. You have to just log in once again, or you may keep it in the break mode. And the valedictory section will be from 7:30 p.m. So all the links will be shared in the valedictory session only. So please stay tuned with us till 7:30 p.m.
okay.
Okay. Okay.
So we are
So
having a break, and at 7:30 p.m. we'll again come at
yeah,
12.
we'll meet. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.